Good morning, everyone. Welcome to day 3, the final day here at BVE 2015. Now, don't forget, there's a competition running here on the booth, P18. Come by, drop your business card in the fishbowl, and get a chance to win one of 3 Blackmagic pocket cameras that we'll be drawing out later today. But this morning, we're going to start with 3 handsome gentlemen, Barry, Graham, and Bernie from the ITTP. Now, chaps, I hope the girls have all prepared themselves for this handsome couch here. ITTP, this is a critical part of our industry, which is being addressed by you guys. Tell us what the ITTP is.
I think he ought to do that bit because he started it.
Well, how it all started was really that a few years ago I wrote some articles for TV-based Stroke Kit Plus, as it was then called, and about training, because for a long time I've been really concerned about the level of training within the television industry and the level of some of the skills that I was finding from ex-students. So I wrote this article about my concerns, and a colleague said, Graham, you're absolutely right, there is a problem with the industry, especially people like us all retire, who have all these skills, like Barry has all these skills on boom operation and sound, and Bernie has experience with producing. And we felt a lot of these skills aren't being passed on to the new generation of people entering the industry. I mean, for example, the other month I was doing a big TV show, and we had a PA who was bar counting, shot calling, doing timings, all at the same time. So who is training the new generation of PAs, for example? And in Barry's case, new generation of Fisher boom operations. So there's all this skill shortage, which is going to happen quite soon unless the industry addresses it.
I have personal experience of young people who have been doing degree courses, getting very high qualifications, and yet can't shoot a very basic sequence or frame a basic shot or understand visual language. And it is a huge problem. It is a huge problem.
I mean, for example, I'll give the example, we have a prop here, so I might as well use it as Bernie very kindly brought along. I call this the 13 amp question. Now, I often have second or third year students out with me who are doing a degree course in digital television, broadcasting operations, or whatever it happens to be called. And I asked them, I said, how many current, what's the current from a domestic socket? You know, and they guess at 18 amps or 17 amps or some arbitrary current. So they have no idea what current you get from a domestic socket.
And I understand your test is how many 800 watt redheads can you plug into
Well, that's
safely?
another question. That's right, you know. Or I have some students, out with me last year. I was doing a big lighting show. We're plugging pixel piles into a 16 amp socket. I said, how many pixel piles are you plugging to this socket? And they couldn't work it out. So it's that level of basic understanding which we are finding rather distressing, and we're trying to address it.
So that's the problem. What are you guys doing about solutions?
So our first conference, the January before last, up to then we didn't know whether we were just a load of old blokes saying, it was all right in our day, drinking our beer, but it actually turned out not to be true. Everybody thought the same thing. You, before we came on, told me another story. Everybody down the place tells me the stories. And so we had the first conference, and we realized that everybody was agreeing with us. So before the second conference, we've got to think up a reason what we're going to do about it. Yeah. And what we did decide was that we'd have the ITTP approved skills scheme.
Close up.
And the idea, I don't know if we've got a close up, we haven't got a man to do a close up, never mind. The idea is that we will accredit individuals. Skillset does this, but they accredit courses. Which means that although someone might have done a course and done it well,
you can attend a course and be signed off as attending the course. Doesn't mean you picked anything up and actually could apply anything.
And actually, it turned out when you actually start researching this, the whole world is like that. If you're an accountant or a plumber, almost anything, you have to at the end of the course do the exams, do the correct industry exams for what you're doing. We don't have that because we used to have the BBC, but we don't have the BBC anymore. So we've got this skills gap where the BBC stopped and no one else has started. Yeah. The universities have filled in, but they don't necessarily fill in with what the industry needs, which is what we're finding all over the place.
For sure.
So what we're saying is to a lot of the industry, we started off with Sky and BT Sport. We've been to the Guild of Television Cameramen, the Society of Light, all the people we can think of. And say, if you had to employ or specify the skills for a bottom-end cameraman, soundman, lighting man. And we're starting with that because you can't do everything. Even though makeup are saying, please can we join in? And visual mixer, please can we? Well, yeah, you can, but we need to get ourselves sorted first. So the skills list is coming together. We are going to everybody and saying, what skills do you want from, I don't know, for instance, a new camera assistant? They just left university, or they just left school, or they just left, as Graham said, Uncle Bob's training system because he's already a cameraman and he's training his nephew. Yeah. Doesn't matter, who cares how they train? What we care about is, for instance, do you know Ohm's law? Can you use Ohm's law in a constructive manner? Yeah. Tell me about codecs. Tell me about XLR cables and a whole range of basic skills. Absolutely, a basic skills. Yeah. And the basic skills are being composed by the people who know, not us, are collated. But what I'm collating is the stuff from the industry. Yeah. And it will go back to the industry. So although Darren Long, who's head of production services at Sky, is not writing down skills, he's a man saying, please write down the skills, chaps, so I can use the people who you get.
So Barry, I'll bring you in here, because sound is an area that most people, I mean, I was lucky. I started recording sound, 2-channel SQN meter for news. And I spent a year and a half just operating a boom and sound. And I learned a lot about how to do it from another sound recordist. Most people haven't got the first clue about sound. They just think, I see people on productions with a boom and it's kind of over here somewhere. I'm thinking, just get the mic as close to the mouth as possible. But they don't know. They just think if you swing it around in the right area, that's a classic example of just a complete lack of understanding of even the basic principles. Is this something you come across?
Well, I care about it very, very deeply. And the strange thing is that the fundamentals haven't changed. My grandfather is in the IMDb. He made some movies in the 1930s, and I'm in the IMDb. You've got, as you say, you've got the boom, you've got the camera lens, some lights. This doesn't change. The lights are a bit smaller, but the fundamentals haven't changed. I also think you have to have a bit of a desire to understand sound. I started building hi-fis when I was 13. Yeah. And I'm very keen to talk to people who are keen about sound, because without you can't understand what people are saying. Sorry. Yes. It's vital, and I do it and I teach it. I'm a working sound supervisor and I teach.
We're at a trade show where there's a lot of equipment, and I know that certainly the filmmaking tools have exploded in the last 5 years. It's very much more accessible to go and buy yourself a DSLR or a small camcorder.
Well, that's half the problem, I think, really. People can go to Dixon's, buy a camera for £4,000, which produces excellent pictures, and you get an editing package for a couple £100 for your iMac, and you can now call yourself an editor and a cameraman for virtually no investment. And so you can then call yourself a production company.
I also, rather alarmingly, seem to feel there's a generation of young person, and I don't want to tarnish every young person, but it's like it's also accessible, it's also easy, that they kind of don't really want to put the effort in to learn the skills and the crafts. And I find that it baffles me that these people are running around with gear and buying all this equipment and worrying about buying a monitor rather than worrying about practicing how to pan and tilt properly.
Another problem is we've got the culture of the day. We've got the instant gratification culture. So everyone wants to do it now. We've got everything is instant, iTube, YouTube, rather iTube.
It's all no.
Yeah, it's all instant. So I think the idea of people, well, why should I want to train for 5 years to be a cameraman when I can get a camera? I've got a camera, so I'm now a cameraman.
Why and call themselves a DP and build a website.
Right. Or I've got myself a microphone. I'm now a sound man. I've got a microphone and a recorder.
I've got a microphone.
But you're now a sound recordist. But in fact, you know nothing about sound.
So let's talk about the specifics. So we've identified the problem. We've seen that there's a solution, which is training. You've got an accreditation scheme which you're developing. How close are you to launching that? What's the process? If someone's leaving university and says, you know what, I can identify that, I don't have the skills, where can they go to get those skills and accreditation?
Well, they can't yet. We launched the concept in January at the second conference. I held out something like that at all of the educators in the place. They all got a copy, go away, this is what we plan to do. From that point on, we are collating the skills list. And then I've got pages of the stuff contributed by the great and the good at home. I set a deadline for that part of the process at about 3 or 4 weeks' time that we get the first thing. So I can bring the skills list together It's not for publishing, it's for passing back to first the people in the ITP, and then people like Darren Long at Sky to say, do you think this is right? Because I think it's very important that the ITTP doesn't go around being acting like the be all and end all this. We're not. We're a throughput thing. Here are people who know what they're talking about. Here are people who need to be told. We'll stand in the middle and pass from one to the other in a coherent, sensible manner. So by, I hope, early summer, I'll have a collated and agreed and accepted by the various people in the industry skills list. One that has attached to it all these logos that say Sky and Field of Television Cameraman or whatever. Institute of Production Sound, and all those logos will be across the top of it, and here's the list. That means the educators, when they, I can present it to the educators, the ITTP in general can say, here it is. Anybody else can join in. If Sky want to say, look, this is the ITTP list, everybody joins in and says, here's the list, educate that. It was an interesting thing at the end of the last question and answer session at the conference. A guy who was a lecturer at a university said, you do know that it takes months, if not years, to adjust the way that...
Carry on.
To adjust the way that universities teach. And I said, yes, I know. That's your problem. And he said, when would you want us to teach the list? And I said, yesterday. You should have been teaching it forever. It's what you should have been teaching.
Yeah, that's part of the issue. I think, I understand, because we've both been involved in education, and we've both been teaching and lecturing, so we understand the problem and the process and the politics that go on in educational institutions. But really, I mean, we aren't changing the world. We aren't rewriting science. These are basic fundamentals which people who want to enter the industry and get employment in the industry should actually have on their fingertips.
But it's also going to help the employers, be that me in a small production company to Sky.
Exactly.
Because we've got some way of sifting through what is, frankly, an
That's right,
unquantifiable skill set.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you're looking for a camera assistant and they come to you with an ITT approved skills camera assistant, you know that they have passed the test or evaluation, and you know they're going to come with the basic level of approved skills. Yeah. So if you want them to rig a camera or plug that in, they can do it. You haven't got to show them how to rig a camera because that's going to be part of the testing system. Yeah. We want a sound recorders. They'll know how to work an SQN, or they'll know because they've been accredited by the IPS. And at a level of basic approved skills. So, so you'll then be looking for people who have these ITTP approved skills. So it'd be like a benchmark which everyone in the industry will recognise that if you've got an approved skills, you have reached a certain level. You may have a degree in broadcast television from some university as well, which is fine, but you have a degree plus the ITTP approved skills accreditation.
I can't tell you how refreshing it is to talk to you three guys about this, because it's such a massive problem.
It is, yes.
What kind of challenges do you face in rolling this out?
Our main challenge is not collating the skills, and that's actually quite easy. We just ask people and they all agree, and we write it down.
Barry.
The accreditation end actually is a problem that we are facing, but we haven't faced yet, because actually that takes infrastructure and a range of skills that we don't have to do with setting exams and the like. It also requires a business infrastructure that the ITTP doesn't yet have. I personally am big on trying to find partners that do have those skills, rather than trying to reinvent the wheel ourselves. There are plenty of companies or organizations out there that do that. It's a matter of finding the right one that we can sort of join on to and say, we have this set of requirements, you have an understanding of how to do this job, let's join together and get the job done.
I mean, we have had talks with lots of major broadcasters who have offered to work with us and want to work with us. But I can also imagine, maybe working with manufacturers, a lighting manufacturer, a lighting distributor, who might get the manufacturers to sponsor the skills training.
Well,
we've already had lots of offers from those sort of people.
Yes, a lot of people want to join in.
Who want to join in. I mean, as many said, Sky B are very supportive, BT Sport are very supportive. They've all offered to work with us in getting the whole thing up and running.
And it's had a royal seal of approval, hasn't it?
Sorry?
It's had a royal seal of approval.
It's had a royal seal of approval. One of us wrote to Prince Charles' office last year John Barlow, and 3 of us went along to Clarence House. And we talked to Prince Charles' media chap, whatever he is, and he said, yeah, I think Prince Charles will go along with this. And a few months later, back came a request. I was asked to write the words. It's a bit of a worry, really. Prince Charles would like to write a letter. Do you want to write something that he might be able to sign? So I think, hell, I've got to write words for Prince Charles.
Brilliant.
And so I did, and they took it back, and then they rewrote it into whatever they wanted, and he signed it. And he's as much up for it as the rest of us. He wants the job done. So we better do it, really.
So it's really good to have support of His Royal Highness.
If Graham wants his MBE, we've got to do it.
That's it. So it sounds to me like you've got lots of people willing to get involved. You've got a great concept, a very passionate team. Is it just a question of time?
Yes.
Well, like all these things, it doesn't happen overnight.
I really hope so, because the number of people who are active and capable is diminishing. There are stories that an awful lot of the people who manned the technical positions at the Olympics were all 5 or 10 years above retirement age. So once that pool of incredibly useful people, who incidentally can pass on their skills, many of them are very competent trainers, but once that pool has gone, what's going to be left?
Exactly.
So we really do hope.
Well, I guess also you could create video tutorials of lessons and have people study lessons over video and then bring them into a practical session and do the testing. Guys, I could literally talk about this all day. I'm really excited because I was trained. I understand the value of great training, and I wouldn't be where I am today without the experience of great cameramen and soundmen. So Barry, Graham, Bernard, thank you both all very much indeed. And we'll certainly be talking about this more at F-Stop Academy, because this is really important. Coming up next is Rupert Bruns, Head of BBC Technology for Audio and Music. Until then, let's see where John is.
Thank you, guys. Well, I am walking around here